Welcome back. Endgame tactics. Game number 5. Bishop knight versus bishop pawn ending. White to play and win. Can you figure out how white proceeded from this position? You pause the video so that you can attempt to solve this puzzle. After you are done, you can go on to the solution. So pause the video now. Okay, I believe you've managed to solve this puzzle, so let's look on to the solution. The key move here is bishop d3. Bishop d3, it pins the pawn g6. The bishop is trapped at the corner. So let's look. Black has got two options: bishop g8 or king b7. So let's look at bishop g8 first. So white plays bishop e4. So the idea of this variation is to discover the bishop. If the bishop moves anywhere from a2 to f7, it means the knight can discover the bishop. So in this position, the safest square is this green one. So the bishop is about to be trapped. So the best way is to go back to bishop h7, knight e7. So knight e7, it controls now the square g8, king b8. So here, let's first look at bishop d3. We shall explain why bishop d3 is necessary on the other variation. King b7, king f2. So as you can see, the knight controls those white squares and the bishop controls the other square. And the only left squares is c7 and b6. But these two squares, black cannot go to them because the knight will gain a tempo by checking the king here and going after the bishop, and the bishop will be trapped. So let's move on with the variation. King a7, king e3, king b8, king d4, h4. So black here attempts to go for the queen. If white tries to go after the bishop, then okay, let's look at the variation. King here, so in this position now, the bishop is overloaded. So it means if bishop captures it, then queen promotes. So this variation of going after the bishop when the pawn has been pushed is not advisable. So from h4, the correct move is king e3. After king e3, king a7, king f3. So the idea is to go after the bishop according to that route. So king b7, king g4, a7, king g5, king b6, king h6, h3, king h7, fires the pawn. King h2, pawn h2, knight checks at f5, king e4, king b g2 check, king f4, king f6. So as you can see, the knight controls those dark squares and the bishop controls those light squares, creating a wall so the black king cannot pass through. King g4, king e5, king g5, knight e3. As you can see, the king, knight, and bishop, they combine forces to create a wall for the black king. King h4, knight f1, creating a blockade against the king, so the king cannot go on that dark square. So the black king is caged away from its pawn. King g4, king bishop e4. What it does, it keeps on blockading the king from its pawn. King h3, king f4, king h4, knight captures. So in this position, with correct play, white will win. So let's go back to the key position here. King e3. So the reason why the king went to f3 was because if you go to f4, you will be discovered. Black plays, if you go to f4 like this, you are discovered. Then when you capture the pawn, bishop takes. Or if you attempt to go and protect the king, black will capture anyway. So in this ending, it will be a draw because you are forced to take the bishop. You are forced to take the bishop in that manner. So let's go back. So we looked at this variation, bishop d3. Just a recap of these moves. As you can see, e3 is the best way to go. Then f, that's how you should play it. Because in this position, if you capture the pawn, they are discovered again. So the correct play is to ignore that pawn and go after the bishop. Okay, let's go back to the critical position. Bishop d3. So we looked at bishop g8. So let's look at king b7. If king b7, then knight e7. So knight e7, it controls the several squares. The king is blockaded, as you can see. The knight controls this square, the bishop controls this square, and these squares are indirectly controlled by the knight, because if the king goes to c7 or b6, the knight checks here and goes after the bishop, so the bishop will be trapped. So let's move on with the variation. King a7, king f2, king b8, king e3, king a7, king d4, h4. Like we mentioned before, if we go after the e pawn, it will be a blunder. So let's look at this variation. h3, because now if the king attempts to go for the bishop, means the same variation will happen. Like for example, like what we showed you earlier, the black will end up pushing this pawn, overloading the bishop, which is protecting this square. So the only solution here is to go after the king and force a draw. This is so if bishop e4, it means black just pushes g5, forcing a draw. Forcing this black will force a draw in the end. So let's go back to this position. If king c7, then queen promote, then white forces a draw by repetition. But this is not what white is aiming for. White is supposed to win. So when black plays h4, we should go king e3, king a8. Remember f4, we mentioned it, that if you go f4, then g5, so it's a draw again. So avoid f4, go king f3, king pawn h3, king g3, h2, king captures, king b7, king g3, king a7, king g4, king b8, king g5, king b7. So remember, c7 and b6 are indirectly controlled by the knight, so the black king cannot utilize those squares. King h7, g5, capture, g4, knight f5, king c6, king g5, king d5, king captures g4. So at this position, black with correct play, white with correct play, I mean, will win the game. So there's a variation I forgot to show you. Remember, I promised you that the reason why this g bishop g8 variation. Okay, well, I'm just trying to get to the position. The reason why we say d3, bishop d3 was the best position best move instead of f2 is because of this. If king f2 at this position, then black will go at these pawns, like in the following manner: king c7, knight d5 check, king d6, knight f6, king e5. So it's a fork between the knight and the bishop, so one of them must move, and this forces a draw. So that's the reason why white is supposed to play bishop d3, so that when the king attempts to go for that fork, it won't work. For example, then knight, so in this position, bishop is no longer at this square e5, so the double firing of the bishop and the knight will no longer work. That's why bishop d3 is essential in that firing. So in this case, the bishop is trapped, and white with correct play will win this game. So thank you for watching. I believe you enjoyed this game. Please like, share, subscribe to my channel. Click that notification bell for more videos like this. See you on the next game. Thank you. Bye bye.